So, hello, everybody, and welcome. Yes, welcome and welcome back here at BSN Network. Today, we welcome you back here at BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. Hope everybody's having a good day so far. It is Friday, July 17th. Hope everybody's having a good day so far and had a good rest of their day yesterday. We are right through the week. It is Friday already, last podcast of the week. I think I will be starting my Around the Diamond podcast on Sunday. Still not 100% about that. Keep your eyes open. There will be if I did it, then there will be a video. If not, then there won't be a video. I'm keeping my eyes out for that. It's weird because I'm going to talk about fantasy and stuff. And I think I'm going to get my fantasy league together. I got like a last second couple people that want to do it. So I think I know what I'm going to do. I have 6 people in the league. It's unorganized. I don't even know if half these people want to do it, but I have people in the league, so it's going to work, I guess. But it's just, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be doing my Around the Diamond podcast this week or next week, because what the whole deal is with the Around the Diamond podcast, so I do the book for the Yankees game. While I'm watching the game, I do the book, which is like a stat thing where you write down all the plays. You probably know what a book is. I do the book for the Yankees game, and I'll bring it on the next day, and I will tell you all the players, what they did, same thing on the Around the Diamond podcast. And I'll predict those stats for next week as well. That's what it all is. It's a bunch of just me telling you how each team did, big games to preview for the week, all that. It's going to be a long podcast. It's just going to be baseball. But I don't know if I do that now because there's no baseball games yet. So I don't know. I mean, although there is some spring training games that are starting, maybe I do. There's a spring training game tomorrow for the Yankees. It's on Yes. It's at 7 o'clock. Yankees-Mets. That's awesome. Get to see some baseball back in action tomorrow night. Then Sunday you get some, and then Monday, and then Thursday is the real game. I might be doing the book for those expedition games. Why not, right? So anyway, so that's what I got for the Around the Diamond thing, just because something quickly I want to air out. Like I said, just be aware, just if you're subscribed or whatever, you should probably just have notifications on. YouTube's weird. It sometimes doesn't give you the notifications, but you will get an update on your phone if YouTube decides to send it. I've been having a tough time with YouTube. YouTube's just been very, very, very annoying. It's been, I do my videos off of YouTube and all that, and it's just very complicated. It's just not complicated to post a video. It's just the comments and stuff like that, and I'm sorry about comments. That's not on me. YouTube just randomly shuts them off. There's a thing in YouTube that is a rule that, people certain age and stuff like that can't have comments turned on. I turn them back on, although constantly I say allow all comments. I would think YouTube would get it by now that I would want to allow all comments, but they obviously don't get it. But it's a different story, different day. So we got Ezekiel Elliott, Cowboys stats, Joe Mixon. Everybody's booming on Elliott. Everybody's saying, oh, Elliott's not this, Elliott's not that, Elliott's not this. So he's been getting a little angry. He said, check the stats. So I did. And I've known this for a while. Ezekiel, it's a top 5 running back in the league. He's not, now, like I said, people, you might not like him. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Elliott either. I mean, I'm not. Some parts of I like his game. I really do. The stuff he does off the field, no, I'm not a big fan. But like I said, I don't like Brady. I think he's the GOAT. He's the GOAT, probably. I don't like him. He's the greatest. I mean, he's unreal. Same thing. And there's a lot of players out there I don't like, and I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big Stephen Curry fan. I will admit that. I mean, the guy's unreal. I can't not admit to that, right? There's players out there that are very good that you just have to, you're gonna have to say, right? So then we have Ezekiel Elliott. I'm gonna run through showing you how he is completely a top 5 running back. Then we have NFL training camp locations, Jets and Giants. A couple days ago, they released the locations of each training camp, limiting the travel because some teams go out of their state, go out of their team state to go and train somewhere else. And then we have DJ LeMahieu coming back with the Yankees. He should be ready for opening day. He obviously had the virus, so he's coming back. He will be the first Yankee to be back. Then I'm assuming it might be Luis Sessa and then probably Chapman last since he just got it last. But good news, the Yankees have not had any new reported cases. The reason I know that is because they will say if a team's got a case, I'm pretty sure. It's just they won't say who. Although you'll be able to tell who got it because you could tell, or I'm assuming, right? But anyway, so that's what I got for the podcast today. This is the BSN Network podcast. So let's get right into it. So Ezekiel Elliott is getting a lot of disrespect, in my opinion. A lot of disrespect. And, I mean, it almost seems like the whole Cowboys team, in a way, is getting a lot of disrespect. It almost seems like the whole Cowboys team, in a way, is getting a lot of disrespect. And like I said, I'm a huge Jets fan. I'm not a Cowboys fan. I'm also not a Giants fan, so I don't hate the Cowboys as much as Giants fans do. I will tell you this. If it was the Giants and the Cowboys in the NFC Championship game, I really don't know who I would root for. I probably would actually root for the Cowboys, to be honest, if it was the Cowboys-Giants in the NFC Championship game. I would probably have to root for the Cowboys. I'm just not a big... there's certain... Over the years, I've grown my disliking for the Giants. There's just a lot of things that have kind of gone that way. Back then, I used to be a Jets fan, and I would root for the Giants. I've always been a Jets fan my whole life, people. I've always been a Jets fan my whole life. But back then, I would root for the Giants too. Like I wouldn't hate them. I mean, I wouldn't be like, oh, Jets, Giants, who am I going to root for? No, I'd root for the Jets. But back then, I would root for the Giants. I would be like, okay, I'll root for this team. If it's this game versus, if it's the Giants versus them, I'll root for them. But over the years, certain things have lined up in place where I just don't really like them. I'm not going to say those certain things. There's no need for it, and we're talking about Ezekiel Elliott. But Ezekiel Elliott is one of those players that he's a top 5 running back in the NFL. I don't care what you say he is. Okay? And I'm comparing him to somebody because I'm not throwing Joe Mixon under the bus. I'm not going to do that. I'm just not going to do that. All I'm trying to say is a lot of people, everybody, and the Madden 21, it's a video game. It just came out with the ratings for each player, right? Daniel Jones got a 70, Sam Darnold got a 73, Josh Allen got a 77. Those are all of the New York quarterbacks. Okay, so just for your insight, it's a video game. I have it. I mean, I will get it. I have Madden 20 right now. I play it all the time. Good game. But it's all right. It's an okay game. I shouldn't say it's great. It's okay. It has its glitches. It has its moments. But I'll tell you what. They really, everybody is. It's almost like everybody's disrespecting Dak Prescott, too. It's crazy to think because I've talked to some people about this, too. And it's funny because when you really start, you have your top 5. You have your top 5 players. That's your core list. That's your really core. Like, that is your top 5. Like, your top 5 players in this position out of the whole league is unreal to get into the top 5. Top 10 is a little bit different. I was talking to somebody the other day about the quarterbacks. I was like, okay, do you think Dak Prescott's better than Matthew Stafford? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay. Ben Roethlisberger. They're like, yeah. I was like, okay. Carson Wentz. Yeah. I asked them like 5 questions, and they're like, yeah. Because all those quarterbacks people put in the top 10, and you realize, oh, wow, Dak is a top 10 quarterback. Look at the numbers, watch him play, compare him to other quarterbacks. He actually is a top 10 quarterback. That's the same thing with Elliott. A lot of people are like, oh, Elliott's not even top 10. He doesn't even crack the top 10. Well, you start to ask him the question, is he better than Joe Mixon? I've heard some people say Joe Mixon's a top 3 quarterback, top 5 running back in the league. I think that's outrageous. I don't think I'm going crazy for this. Where in the world is Joe Mixon a top 5 running back? Where in the world is he a top 5 running back? He's on a 2-14 team against the Bengals, who I got to admit, they look like a Super Bowl team against my team. But that's not a hard thing to do. They made Zach Taylor look like a genius that game. They made Andy Dalton look like an MVP. They made Joe Mixon look like the FedEx Air and Ground Player of the Year. Okay. They made everything good like that. There he was on a 2-14 team. He did have over 1,000 yards. That's good. That good for him. Good for him. Right? I'm not beating up on him. 1,000-yard season is very good. My running back, Jets running back, did not have a 1,000-yard season. Okay, Joe Mixon had a good season. But for people to be telling me, and I compared the stats right here. This isn't. I compare it. I took it right off of ESPN. Took it right off of ESPN. So, Joe Mixon, he was on a bad team. Elliott on an okay team. But here's my problem. Everybody, and Elliott said this yesterday, came out and said this. Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott tells critics to check the stats. Start putting some respect on my name. And it's true. And I'm on Elliott's side 100% here. Everybody's saying, oh, Elliott's this, Elliott's that, Elliott's this. He's not good. He's really not that good. Look, and then when you tell them, and this is what I love, about sports. Sports is a world of opinions. And this is why I like stats, because I love to back up my opinion. I have a lot of strong opinions on sports that I won't back down on. I love getting, like I said, I don't like to get into big, I like to debate with people. That's what I like. I love to debate about sports with people. Not, big debate where you're yelling at each other and all that. Just a debate. That's what I love about sports. You can debate about it. And it doesn't separate people at all, like some other topics out there. There's some other things out there that people debate about, and it can separate people. Sports doesn't really separate people. Sports actually kind of brings people together sometimes. You have those big gatherings to do that. Some other things out there that people... I would much rather see people get into a debate about sports than some of these other things out there, especially things that are going around in the world right now. Because those things can get those debates can get ugly. Sports debates usually don't get ugly. Sports debates usually don't. Because at the end of the day, you have your team. It's either your team's doing great or your team's doing bad. I don't like to debate about the Jets either, because I know I just can't. I can't debate about the Jets. I'm not a very good. I'm a good debater. I would say I'm a decent debater, but the Jets, there's not much to. The Jets, it's embarrassing. They're an embarrassment. To try to debate that the Jets are a good team is very difficult because the stats don't back you up, and the play on the field definitely doesn't help you. You're like, oh, watch the highlights. Look at them. No, the Jets don't have many highlights. But that's why I'm a big stat. That's why I'm a big stat person. That's why I'm 80-70% stats, because you have your opinion, right? Everybody has their opinion. Right now on this podcast, I could say Sam Darnold's the best quarterback in the league. Right now, I could say that. I'm not going. I kind of just said it, but I don't mean it like that. Anybody could say anything, and that's their opinion. Sure, they could be like, oh, have you seen this? Have you seen this? But that's what I love about stats. Stats is not an opinion. It's a fact. It is what these replay systems, it is what all these statcasts in the MLB, all that, it is what these stat people that are doing this have recorded. It is not. Stats are mainly made out of a calculator. Calculators are right, not wrong. Opinions, you can't have a right or wrong opinion. Everybody's opinion technically is right. There's really no such thing as a right or wrong opinion, because you can't have a right or wrong answer for there's no such thing, right? So with everybody saying Elliott is not even that good, is just outrageous. Look at the numbers. Look at Dak's numbers. I read his numbers yesterday, I'm pretty sure. Look at Dak's numbers for 3 seconds, and you will really realize where I'm coming from. Everybody's like, oh, Dak's not this good. Compare Dak to Stafford. Dak's better numbers. Dak to Wentz, better numbers. Okay? I've never said Dak was a top 5 quarterback. I said Dak was a top 10. Same thing with Elliott. I'm saying Elliott's a top 5 running back. And like I said, I'm not trying to throw Elliott under the bus, or Mixon under the bus. Mixon's an okay running back. I think he's very overrated. I think a lot of people these past couple of months, past couple of weeks, Madden rated Mixon high. Everybody's been rating Mixon very high. And I think they're actually taking off of some of his stats, because his stats aren't that bad. Like I said, I like stats a lot. His Mixon stats aren't that bad. What I see on the field is completely different. Same thing with Wentz. You watch him on the field, horrible. You look at his numbers. He has the numbers to be a top 10 quarterback. That's what's so crazy. Dak still has better numbers than Wentz. So what more has to be said? I know there's a lot of people out there that will go off of what they see on the field, and I think you see a lot of good stuff out of Elliott on the field. It's not like you're like, oh, Elliott, how in the world does he have 12 touchdowns? That's what people were questioning themselves last year. Gurley had, I think, 12 touchdowns last year. People were like, how in the world did they mess this up? No, because you have to sit there and watch the whole game. You can't just watch slivers and stuff and be like, oh, well, he's horrible. I don't watch the Eagles. I watch them, if they're in a primetime game or if they're against the Jets. Because I'm watching the Jets on Sundays. I don't watch any other team. I watch the Jets on Sundays. So, Ezekiel Elliott is a very good running back. And I made this topic about a month or two ago. I said top 5 running backs. Dalvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott, or Derrick Henry, Ezekiel Elliott, Saquon Barkley, CMC. And I think Barkley's slightly better than Elliott just because of his receiving thing. Elliott can receive. I think Barkley is just overall the better. Christian McCaffrey is probably the best offensive player in the league. One of the best. All around. I mean, the guy can receive. The guy is fast. The guy can run. And the guy is just, he can do all things. So, Christian McCaffrey by far, him and Mahomes are close to each other for who is probably the best. But anyway, so here we go. Here are the numbers for Ezekiel Elliott and Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon, Ezekiel Elliott. Because I want to show people, he said, look at the numbers, and I did. I've seen Elliott's numbers way before this as well. When I was making my top 5 running back list, I looked at Elliott's numbers. So Ezekiel Elliott, attempts, 301, that's second in the league. Joe Mixon's attempts, 278, that's tied 5th in the league. There's one for Elliott. Yards, 1,357, that's 4th in the league for Elliott. Yards, 1,137, that's 9th in the league for Mixon. Elliott beats him again. TD 12, touchdowns 12, tied 5th in the league. Elliott, touchdowns 5, that's tied 26th for Mixon. Elliott beats him in that category. Average 4.5, that's 21st in the league for Elliott. Average 4.1, that's 33rd in the league for Mixon. Elliott beats him in that category. So I did the same thing. With Dak to Wentz. Dak beat him all the categories except one. That was the interception category. Guy gave Wentz 100% the credit. Elliott, on the other hand, sweeps him 4-0. So, I don't know what more has to be said. Because stats are a fact, opinions are opinions. So, when you look at the facts, Elliott is way better than Mixon. I'm not trying to throw Mixon under the bus. Like I said, Mixon's a pretty good running back. But for people saying, I've heard some of these critics saying Mixon is better than Elliott. No. I know I just compared them, but that shouldn't even come through your head. How in the world can you even think that? Have you seen Elliott play? Just watch him play for 10 minutes and you'll see where I'm coming from. And I know, I'm not a huge Elliott fan. What he does off the field, I don't like. But when he comes to on the field, I mean, the guy is one of the best talents in the NFL right now. And you can't take that away from him. I don't like Brady. He's crushed the Jets. He's in our division. He was on our rival team. I dislike him a lot. I don't like Brady at all. You can't take that away that he's one of the greatest quarterbacks, one of the greatest players to go down of all time. I can't take that away from him. So, can't even take that away from him. You know, it's just, I can't take that away from him. You know, he had that 28-3 comeback. There's a lot of things right? You know, just because you hate a player doesn't mean you're just going to disrespect him. I think that's a lot of people. I think Elliott is actually a pretty hated player in the league. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these critics are Giants fans. A lot of these critics should try to be, I would love to hear people that are not in their division, that are not in his division, because I feel like he's one of the most hated players in the NFC East. The Cowboys are one of the most hated teams in the league. So you should ask a person, not a Cowboys fan, ask a person who doesn't hate the Cowboys as much. You know, I'm not a big fan of the Cowboys, but I wouldn't say I hate him. I wouldn't say I hate him. I mean, I wouldn't say I hate the Cowboys. I wouldn't say I hate the Cowboys. I wouldn't. I would say I'm okay with them. I mean, I dislike them. I wouldn't say I absolutely, utterly hate them. I mean, one of my most least favorite teams in the league is probably the Patriots. Patriots by far. Then the Steelers. I don't like the Steelers at all. Steelers, Cowboys, Super Bowl. Or no, never mind. Yeah, Steelers, Cowboys, Super Bowl. Steelers. Or Cowboys. Cowboys. I don't like the Steelers. So, I'm not, you know, like I said, I don't really like if it was the Cowboys versus, like, a Patriots, I would root for the Cowboys. If it was the Cowboys versus the, I don't know, let's just say the Cowboys-Bills Super Bowl, I would probably root for the Bills or the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. Even though they're in our division, Bills, I don't have much hate for the Bills. us and the Bills are actually pretty even. We've been able to beat them sometimes and also lose to them sometimes. We've been pretty even. But anyway, Cowboys running back Ezekiel tells critics to check the stats, and I love that. I really do. Because it's right. You have to check the stats before there's things. So, Ezekiel took to Twitter on Thursday to voice his displeasure with how he's being viewed by media members in relation to the counterparts in the NFL. It began with a simple question: why can't we all shine? There are a lot of great backs in this league, but I don't understand why the media has to talk down on my game and just uplift other backs. Elliott wrote on Twitter, "We are talented football players and can ball. There are a lot of great backs in this league. I don't understand why media has to talk down." This is what he tweeted. That was exactly it. Elliott then pointed to the numbers. We checked. They're good before channeling his inner Birdman. Check the stats, he advised. Since I entered this league, I have dominated year in, year out. Please put some respect on my name. Elliott followed that suggestion by pivoting between with his next tweet, which also recommended the use of math. Yeah, stats don't lie. Exactly. Stats don't lie. They don't. It's true. He did tweet this. Stats don't lie. They don't lie. I mean, I don't really. I've said that today on my podcast too. Stats do not lie, people. Stats do not lie. I have almost 1,800 scrimmage yards and 14 touchdowns with no training camp, and now I'm not the same back. Although he provided the basic stats for us in the above tweet, let's get into the numbers. Elliott averaged a career low. My phone here is really low. Career low 84.8 rushing yards per game and 111.1 scrimmage yards per game in 2019. His 22.2 touches per game were also the worst in his career. By those numbers, he did take a step back, but that's not the entire picture because Elliott set the bar so high for himself in the 3 seasons, including 2 campaigns with at least 15 games played. His most recent stats fall short of expectations. The difference, though, is the expectations for his astronomical high. That's the funny part, though. Is okay, his stats are a little bit lower that year, and I did actually notice that. You know, his stats were a little bit lower. 4.5 average, that's 21st in the league. That's not the greatest ranking. Every stat is top 5 except that average. And average 4.5 is still very good, okay? People don't understand. Okay, he had his worst year last year, okay? So when you start to compare him to Joe Mixon, who probably had one of his best years, compared to Elliott's worst year, Elliott is still better than him. Elliott is still better than him. Still has better stats. Still has more rushing yards. Still has more attempts. Still has more touchdowns. Still a better average. And Mixon has one of his better years, and Elliott is still better than him. Jeez, people just don't understand sometimes. Elliott is still better than him. Consider this: Elliott led the league in rushing in two of his first 3 seasons. He averaged at least 95 rushing yards per game, which of his first 3 seasons made the Pro Bowl in 3 of his first 4 seasons, including the most recent campaign. Elliott's elite play is almost old at this point, which is no fault of his own. The main reason we're seeing a difference in reputation is in his team overall performance, for which he perhaps disappointingly responsible. And it just goes on and on and on, honestly. It just goes 1, 2, 3, 4 more paragraphs. So that, and I'm already running good on time. So that is Elliott's whole debacle with the critics. He also tweeted this: I do appreciate the standard you guys hold me to, though. But I promise you no one holds me to a higher standard than myself. It's true. It's true. It's true. And I had it right here. Dalvin Cook, 5th running back in the league. Derrick Henry, 4th. Elliott, 3. Saquon, 2. McCaffrey, 1. Elliott's contract, $15 million, $90 million total money. He's one of the biggest contracts in the league, and I think he's been worth it so far. I would say he has been. I mean, yeah, he had a down season last year. Still, he had better than some of these players' career high seasons. That's a very stat that I actually like to read, though. That's a stat I like to read. Is like players that have down years. And that's the thing. Michael Thomas, and this is when I was comparing DeAndre Hopkins. I'll get into the next segment in just a second. Michael Thomas, he had a career year last year. He had better numbers than DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins' numbers were not far off of Michael Thomas on a career year. DeAndre Hopkins didn't have a career year. But you look at the other numbers, DeAndre Hopkins is better than them for the past couple of years. So that's why I chose DeAndre Hopkins. Also, what I've seen on the field. I think DeAndre Hopkins is probably the best deep ball threat in the league. Tall, strong, good vertical, good hands, strong hands, very strong hands. One-on-one, fighting for the ball, just rips it right out. So, comment down below your thoughts on Elliott. And do what the stats show, right? Your opinion could be, I don't like Elliott. But, like I said, you have to respect players' games, right? If for example, I don't like Brady. I can't stand him. I don't like Brady at all. Right? I'll tell you right here, I dislike Brady a lot. He's literally the Jets killer. He's destroyed the Jets. He's literally destroyed the Jets. The Jets have just absolutely just been obliterated by him. Okay, so I don't know why somehow I would like him. I don't really like him anymore that he's on the Buccaneers either. Maybe I like him a little bit more. I don't know. I mean, I still don't like him that he's on the Buccaneers. And I will admit, he is the GOAT. I will stand by Brady that he is the GOAT. Even though I hate him, I will. I mean, you have to admit that stuff. You can't be like, oh, he's so bad just because you hate him. You got to admit sometimes. But anyway, Ezekiel had stats, and it is annoying, hearing all these people be like, oh, Elliott this, Elliott that, Elliott this. I feel like a lot of Cowboys players have, and I think it's just because Cowboys are a hated team, and there goes those people hating the Cowboys there goes those people hating the Cowboys that are going to go out in there and just say, oh, this player's horrible just because he plays for the Cowboys. Well, if you would acknowledge yourself, then you wouldn't have that. So, it's interesting. I'll tell you the truth. It is very, very interesting. In regards to Elliott, in regards to his whole situation here. So anyway, that's what I got for the Elliott. Coming up next, we got the NFL training camp locations and some more just straight up news on the NFL. Alrighty, so there is some more news on the NFL. There's some more news on the NFL. So the NFL, it's almost like it's been high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, high, low, high, low, high, low, and so on and so forth. It's been very weird, and for a long time there, the MLB was just low. For a long time there, the MLB was straight up just low. For a long time there, MLB was low. The NFL, in a way, just seems like it's just high, low, high, low, high, low. One day you hear something that's so promising. The next day you hear something that's like, oh, well, maybe the season's not going to happen. The next day you hear something that's promising. The next day you hear something that's not promising. One day you hear something's promising. The next day you hear something promising. Then you're at an all-time high. Then the next 2 days, you're like, oh, players are opting out, players are going to opt out, players are going to opt out, and it's just like, oh, low, 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 low. I can't get lower than this table, right? It's very odd because the NFL for such a long time, when this virus first hit, everybody's like, oh, NFL's got to pause their season. And I agree with the NFL did. The NFL season's in September. When this virus first hit, it was in like March, right? March. March. Would I say March? Yeah. Was it March? I would say March, February, whatever. The virus was at its peak in like April, May. That's when it was really bad. April was like the worst month, I think, of the virus. Towards the end of March and into April, that's when everything was just shut down and you just couldn't do anything. That's when everything was shut down. That's when cases were just keep on just going up, and it almost was like just cases were just gonna go as high as some mountains. Like when you look at the graphs, like cases were just rising, and it was like, okay. It seemed like it wasn't stopping until all of a sudden that first day you were like, oh, cases dropped, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, cases dropped, and ever since that they've been dropping. But with that whole rising thing, the with that whole rising thing, in the middle of that, everybody's like, oh, okay, so all the other sports canceled their seasons. All the other sports did or paused their seasons. And NBA did. NBA was the first to do it. That's also because they were, college basketball was actually the first to. They canceled the March Madness. They canceled all that. Hindsight 2020, that was a good move. In the heat of the moment, I didn't think it was a great move because cases weren't really spreading that fast in March. They were, but if you play without fans, I really do believe they could have got that season done. I don't know. Like I said, in hindsight 2020, I guess it was the right deal. But in a way, I feel like in the heat of the moment when it happened, I was like, why can't they just play without fans? But now you look at this, right? You know, you're playing without fans. You're playing where players get tested, and these are players still getting the virus, right? So now I guess it was better off, especially for student athletes, especially for young players. You know, it would be one thing if maybe it was, Game 7 of the NBA Finals, and maybe you just play that off with no fans, and that's it. You end it. If the virus hit a day before the March Madness Finals, and it just kept on spiking up, you probably would have played I was very mad when the March Madness got canceled. So it was the March Madness, then the XFL got canceled. Then it was the NBA because the NBA got a case. Or it might have been the NBA first. It might have actually been the NBA first. I don't know. Then it was the NHL as well. Because I noticed NBA, college basketball, XFL was all off the TV. None of it was on. It was all off TV. And I was like, okay, well, the MLB's still on. MLB then canceled. And I was like, okay, the NHL is still on. The NHL, they all had plans playing without fans in attendance for the game that night. And I was like, okay. All of a sudden, like 2 hours before game time, I was like, oh, got canceled. I was like, no sports on. So that got canceled. And everybody was still pressuring the NFL to cancel. And in the heat of the moment, when you're in April and you have a virus going on, you are not going to look ahead. You cannot do that. That is the worst thing a sports team can do. And that is the worst thing you could do in that situation. Looking ahead in sports is worse. Is so bad. Looking at sports, for example, you win a big game. Then you have a big game that next week. Then you're looking ahead to that game. You're just not even caring about this game, and you lose this game, right? And you lose this game. Then you lose that game. That's what happened to the Jets. They were looking ahead to that Ravens game. They lost the Bengals game. Or no, they lost the Bengals game. They were looking ahead to that Dolphins-Ravens game. Like, oh, we play the Dolphins next. We could easily beat them. We play the Ravens. Maybe we can catch them looking ahead. Meanwhile, you were really the ones looking ahead. But that's the thing. So they lost that game, and that's the problem. You look ahead in the virus, you're going to lose more people. You're going to have more cases. You have to be focused on the moment. And everybody's pressuring the NFL, and the NFL never backed down. The NFL said, we are not canceling our season. They changed off-season only workouts, everything like that. Perfect. It went good. Now the cases are really dropping. Now all of a sudden the NFL, before the season starts, now all of a sudden they're thinking of, okay, well, what do we do now? It's almost like in a way the NFL now is almost in panic mode because they have about a month, and actually a little less than 2 months. Oh, awesome. So the Nats are cleared to play at Tennessee, or in D.C. That was a quick update. There's been some rumors that the Nationals were not going to be able to play at their home stadium, but they've been able to be cleared, and they will be playing against the Yankees at Nationals Park. But here's something. So now all of a sudden, all these NFL players are. What's today? It's July 17th, right? So the first game for the NFL, I think September 9th. First actual Sunday games is about September 13th. So we're a little less than a month away. We're a little less than 2 months away. So we're about 2 months away from the season. We're like a month and 28 days away from the NFL season. So we're like a month and 28 days away from the NFL season. So with that being said, we're about a month away from the month and like 28 days away from the NFL season. With that being said, you have, all of a sudden it's kind of panic mode in a way. Like, okay, we're going to play. We have a chance that players are going to be able to opt out. Oh, wait, what do we do? What do we do with training camp? Oh, are we going to play with fans or not? Like, okay, slow it down. You still have a month and 28 days. I know that might not seem like a lot, but you still do for your first full Sunday. Now, September 9th, I'm pretty sure is the first game. That would be the Texans game, right? Texans-Chiefs. September 9th would be Thursday. September 10th would be Friday. September 11th would be Saturday. September 12th would be Sunday. No, September 13th Sunday. So it would be September 10th then, because then September 13th. I don't know. It would be something like that. So we're just about a month away. Let's just put it as about 2 months away from the season. So now all of a sudden it's almost they're in a panic mode. Now all of a sudden you're in a panic mode. And you're like, what? What do we do? And now they're giving the players a chance to opt out. Now they're giving these players a chance to not play, like I just said. Now they're giving these players a chance to just straight up just be like, I'm not playing. Like, now all of a sudden it's almost like the end. I don't disagree trying to give the players a chance to play. Not all players are going to want to play. Just not. Not all players are going to want to play. I'm sorry. Not all players are going to want to play. And you have to respect that. There's a lot of people that are responding differently to this virus. There's a lot of people out there that are a little bit more shaky about the virus, and there's also a lot of people out there that are a little more, about the virus. There's a lot of people out there that are, I'm not going anywhere with this virus until it completely ends, and there's a lot of people out there that are like, I'm going to take the risk, I'll go out and I will play the sport. There's two types of different people, and that's once again, that's your opinion. You can't force somebody to do anything. This virus is vicious. That's to say the least, right? So if a person doesn't want to go out, a player doesn't feel safe enough to really go play football, that is their opinion. They can do whatever they want. But now all of a sudden the NFL is giving that option. Now I feel like there's going to be a lot of players that are going to be opting out, and you might see these interesting rosters like the NBA. You might see some interesting rosters. Because I've already heard some players, I'm not going to say names completely because I've heard from sources and they've said, multiple players have said this. I don't know the names. I've known one player for certain has said, I would be lying to you if I told you I felt safe playing. And that was Stephon Diggs. J.J. Watt came out and said the other day, he says he's a little nervous to play, but he says he will only play if you're not mandatory to wear that face little shield down there that Oakley made. Which is interesting because if he was nervous to play, I would imagine he would want to wear that. Because that's supposed to protect you. But I don't know if it's just because he never plays with a visor. That's the problem. They're putting these visors all over the helmet. That's the problem. Players are not used to that, people. Players are not used to the visors all over them. They might not like it. Especially quarterbacks. Like, really, quarterbacks are going to have to wear that? That might be tough for quarterbacks. Not all quarterbacks wear visors. Actually, you see more quarterbacks. I wear a visor when I played football. I don't play football anymore. I played 5 years, 3 flag, 2 tackle. I don't play football anymore. I wore a visor when I played. It didn't bother me. I wore it because, to limit the face mask and all that stuff. You also limit stuff getting into your eyes and stuff. It actually is more of a protection thing. But that's what they were saying. But now players are saying they don't want to play because of that. It's mandatory. I don't think they would make that mandatory. I mean, I would probably make that mandatory because I think if you're going to not make that mandatory, nobody's going to wear that. I think most players want to just wear whatever they want to wear. I don't think a lot of players want to wear that. I've heard from multiple sources I trust, not many players want to wear that. So I think you should try to make it mandatory. But then will that make players opt out? This is where it's all in a difficult situation. In the way, it's whatever you have to do safest for the players. But in a way, too, it's like you kind of have to also, that's why you can't pep down to the player's level. That's why I was saying with the MLB, you cannot pep down to the player's level and say, you know what, forget about it. Just give you your full salary. That's why I like what the MLB did. They didn't really do that. They never really stepped down. They kind of just kept on firing back at them. No, tell you straight up, we're not giving you that. That's what the NFL has to do. So NFL training camps 2020. Start dates and locations for all 32 teams as season approaches. So this story was released a couple days ago. It is a quick thing, but these are the training camp locations. So like I said, there's highs every day and they're low. There's high, a low, a high, a low, a high, a low. It is almost unpredictable. A couple days ago, we got a high. Okay, now they got the training camp start dates. So we all know that. We start dates, all that good stuff we all know, which is great. We want training camp to start back up. That is what you want as an NFL fan. Because that means that's your next step to starting the season. So, NFL training camps are set to begin this month, as all 32 franchises will embark on a football season unlike any other. The days of teams traveling to remote locations, the rookies are supposed to report very soon. I do know that. Remote locations could be over as every team will hosting training camp at their facility in 2020. Players will report to training camp on Tuesday, July 28th. Per a plan agreed by the NFL and the NFLPA Players Association. Teams also cannot host joint practices, as common aspect of training camp over the past few years that has gained steam and replaced preseason games, while there will be a reduced preseason from 4 to 2 games. For now, the NFL reduced the preseason schedule to 3 games starting with the 2021 season as a part of the new collective bargaining agreement. The league is also reportedly considering the size of training camp rosters from 90 to 75 or 80 in order to combat the coronavirus pandemic. There haven't been many concessions made by the league, with training camp on the horizon. Even though more changes appear to be coming over the next few weeks, this is a fluid situation. Below are the locations and start dates for all 32 teams in alphabetical order. So here we go. Arizona Cardinals, they did not give you the start date. That's very weird. They didn't give you the start date. Never mind. They said below are the locations and start dates for all 32 teams in alphabetical order. They don't give you the start dates. But anyway, we all know the start dates are, I think, exactly 48 days from before the first game. So that's July 28th. So we all know the start dates are all July 28th except the Texans and the Chiefs. So anyway, so here are all the things here. So Arizona Cardinals will be training camp at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. That is where they play, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Atlanta Falcons will be Atlanta Falcons training facility in Flowery Branch, Georgia. Baltimore Ravens will be at Under Armour Performance Center in Owings Mills, Maryland. I do know that. I've seen that place before. Buffalo Bills will be on One Bills Drive in Orchard Park, New York. 2019 location was St. John Fisher College in Rochester, New York. Once again, you're going to see some of these teams limit the travel. They're going to be playing in Orchard Park. That is where their stadium pretty much is in Orchard Park. Location was in Rochester. They're trying to limit the travel. They're trying not to. I know I've stressed this so much time. What these leagues, teams, franchises, owners are trying to do, commissioners are trying to do, they're just trying to limit the travel. They're trying to go from traveling like this to this. That's why the schedule for the NFL could be affected. Because, for example, the 49ers have to play the Jets and the Giants back-to-back week 2 and 3. And they're both on the East Coast, and the 49ers are on the West Coast. So, you have a problem there all of a sudden. Carolina Panthers, Bank of America Stadium, Charlotte, North Carolina. That is their stadium, 2019 location, Wofford College in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Once again, Charlotte, North Carolina, Spartanburg, South Carolina. See? Now they're switching states. See, they want to keep there. Wofford College, that's a college. Wofford. They actually beat Duke, I'm pretty sure. Or was that? Or was that Vanderbilt? I think that was Wofford. I think they beat Duke. I was watching that game. Chicago Bears will be at Hallis Halls in Lake Forest, Illinois. 2019 location. Olivet Nazarene University in Barbados, Illinois. That is, okay, never heard of that place before. I never known they were practicing there. Cincinnati Bengals will be at their stadium, Paul Brown Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio. Cleveland Browns will be at Cleveland Browns training training complex in Berea, Ohio. Dallas Cowboys will be at Ford Center at the Star in Frisco, Texas. 2019 location was Marriott Residence in Oxnard, California. They were Oxnard, California. See, they're traveling from Texas to Oxford, California. So they're trying to limit the travel, people. That's another thing there. Denver Broncos, Paul D. Bullen Memorial Center in Dove Valley, Colorado. 2019 location, UC Health Training Center in Englewood, Colorado. Englewood, Colorado is where John Elway lives. I wonder if it's something with him. Maybe that's why. So John Elway has to take less of a drive. That's where John Elway was, Englewood, Colorado. UC Health Training Center, like I just said. Their Detroit Lions will be Detroit Lions Training Facility in Allen Park, Michigan. Green Bay Packers will be at Don Hudson Center in, this is one heck of a name. Ashwaubenon, Wisconsin. 29 location, St. Norbert College in D. Perry, Wisconsin. Houston Texans will be at the Houston Texans Training Center in Houston, Texas. 29th location, Houston Methodist Training Center in Houston, Texas. I don't understand why. I'm surprised some of these teams are traveling out of the state. Like, why do you do that? I thought every main teams have, like, their training facilities. Indianapolis Colts are at Indiana Farm Bureau Football Center in Indianapolis, Indiana. 29th location, Grand Park in Westfield, Indiana. Jacksonville Jaguars at the TIAA Bank Field in Jackson, Florida. That is their stadium. Kansas City Chiefs will have Kansas City Chiefs practice facility in Kansas City, Missouri. 2019 location, Missouri Western State University in St. Joseph's, Missouri. Las Vegas Raiders headquarters in Henderson, Nevada. 29 location, Napa Valley Marriott in Napa, California. Of course, they're going to have to change too because they're in Nevada. So, of course, they're going to have to change. That is no doubt about that because they were in Oakland. So, that was in California, so that makes sense. Now they're in Nevada, so they have to be in Nevada. Los Angeles Chargers, Jack Hammett Sports Complex in Costa Mesa, California. Los Angeles Rams, California Lutheran University in Thousand Oaks, California. 2019 location, University of California, Irvine, California. Miami Dolphins Baptist Health Training Facility in Davie, Florida. Minnesota Vikings TCO Performance Center in Eagan, Minnesota. New England Patriots Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts. They will be at their Foxborough. That is their stadium. New Orleans Saints will be at the New Orleans Saints Training Facility in Metairie, Louisiana. New York Giants will be at Quest Diagnosis Center Training Center in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Have seen that. It is right in the MetLife Stadium parking lot. I have obviously been to MetLife Stadium multiple times. New York Jets will be at Atlantic Health Jets Training Center in Florham Park, New Jersey. I have been there as well. Very nice training center facility. Honestly, a lot of people say it's the nicest. It's very nice. I was there actually last year. I was actually there in August of last year. It's crazy how the world changes, people. I was there in August, and now look at August this year. Completely different. Philadelphia Eagles will be Nova Care Complex in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh Steelers will be at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. 2019 location, St. Vincent College in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. San Francisco 49ers SAP Performance Facility in Santa Clara, California. Seattle Seahawks will be Virginia Mason Athletic Center in Renton, Washington. Tampa Bay Buccaneers Advent Health Training Center in Tampa, Florida. Tennessee Titans St. Thomas Sports Park in Nashville, Tennessee. Redskins football team, Washington football team, whatever you want to call it. The Redskins or Washington, whatever you want to call it. Bones Secura's Washington football team, Washington Redskins or whatever football team training center in Richmond, Virginia. So they will be in Richmond, Virginia. I'm actually surprised they're in Richmond, Virginia. They're traveling out of state. Although Richmond, Virginia is not very far from D.C. I know that. I'm pretty sure Richmond, Virginia is actually not that far. So, I thought all these, I know Virginia's not far, but all these teams, the Cowboys leaving to the California, I thought all these, for example, the Giants, their training facility is right next to MetLife Stadium. It is in a parking lot. You have MetLife Stadium. MetLife Stadium's, on my fist right here, and their training facility is, over here. It's, you could walk. It's weird. Jets, too. Jets training facilities in Florham Park, which is a little bit further from East Rutherford. It's probably a little bit more. I don't exactly know. I'm not a person who really knows that stuff. But it's very, it's weird because, people just, it's just odd. I don't know what all these teams, since when did all these teams just train at these random sites? You know what I'm saying? California, this, and this. I thought every team had a training facility within the state that they played in. I thought that. Maybe not. But anyway, that's what I got for the NFL training camp locations. Like I said, NFL season's interesting. I think it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when and how and what capacity. I don't think they're going to do a bubble. I don't think they're going to do an AFC East, NFC East thing. I think they're going to try to play as easy as they can, as most normal as they can, because all these sports leagues can't do it because they are in the center of this. I feel like they're going to try to do it as easy as they can, but it's just a matter of how and when. So, yep, that's what I got for the NFL training camp locations. So, now we move into our next topic here. The Yankees. And DJ LeMahieu, I've got my Yankees shirt on today. I don't know if you can see it right there. There it is, NY. But I got my Yankees shirt on today. Decided to wear it. I got this last year. It's very comfortable. I got this, a Yankees pullover tank top. This is one that's a long sleeve. I rolled it up a little bit. And I got a... What else I got? I got that. I've got a Yankees jersey. I've got a ton of Yankees jerseys. And I just got a brand new Garrett Cole jersey as well. Try that for sure. That's nice. That's another thing. MLB to use an artificial crowd noise. MLB The Show video game. Empty ballparks will reportedly pump in sounds from MLB The Show video game this season. Wow. Wow. MLB The Show. If any of you guys have... I've played that game a couple times. See, I have an Xbox. MLB The Show is amazing. I don't have it because obviously I don't have a PS4. MLB The Show is only on PS4. But I've played it before. I don't know, you probably know those game trucks, or I've just been over somebody's house and stuff. I do play MLB The Show. I have played it. I don't really play it because I don't have a PS4. I have an Xbox. But I know a lot of people who play. It's an awesome game. It's very realistic too. You should see the graphics. The graphics are unreal. So DJ LeMahieu set to return for the New York Yankees after he obtained the virus. This is great news, as the Yankees glad DJ LeMahieu is returning. This is big news. DJ LeMahieu is by far one of our best players. He's a consistent, good hitter, singles, doubles, triples, good fielder. He could be utility. Put him at shortstop, put him at third, put him at first, put him at second. He can do it all. Good hitter, not just a home run hitter, but he's not just a home run hitter. He can hit home runs. He can get singles. He's got good plate discipline, good doubles, good triples, good overall player. Got him from the Rockies. He was good with the Rockies. Nowhere close to. When we got him as a Rockies, he was expected to be some sort of kind of like backup player. With all the injuries, Gio Urshela became a thing. All of a sudden, here we got. Unreal. It is unreal how last season panned out. You had Gio Urshela became a thing. You had DJ LeMahieu became one of the best players in the league, was in the voting for MVP. Everybody's like, oh, DJ LeMahieu. He was unreal. I mean, what he did last year was just fascinating. I mean, it was almost like every time he got up to bat. Judge is consistent, but, he sometimes, he's a home run hitter, and he can hit singles, doubles. That's why I love what he's inputted into his game, is all those singles, doubles. I like players who can hit singles and doubles. I will take singles and doubles all day over a home run. I will. If you can give me 10 singles, if you can give me two singles if you can give me a good old single or double every single game 2 times for the rest of your career, I will make you the highest paid player. I will, because that's just consistent. You just swing for the fences. You just absolutely just try to hack for the fences, hit 30 home runs, but strike out over 250 times. Other than that, you don't do anything else. Well, I would probably maybe pay you a little bit, but not as much as I would give DJ LeMahieu. So I'm saying, people, he's a good fielder. He's a good hitter. All around a good player. I'm telling you, he's an all-around good player. And he's by far one of the best in the league. I think he's one of the best players in the league right now. Overall. Yeah, Luke Voigt saw DJ LeMahieu on Wednesday and was bubbling with excitement. The all-star second baseman has made it back from COVID-19. When LeMahieu was placed on the IL before camp officially opened, it was known if he would have enough time to be ready for opening day on July 23rd. Voigt's optimism aside is still not guaranteed. The right-handed hitting LeMahieu, who wasn't allowed to be at Yankee Stadium for spring training 2.0 until testing negative twice, will be in the lineup Thursday at Washington against national stud Max Scherzer. I don't. Aaron Boone said when asked if he had a date for when LeMahieu and right-hander Luis Cessa, who remains out with the coronavirus, will join what's left of spring training 2.0. When you see them in uniform, then we will be ready to talk about it. Nor did the manager want to guess how long it would take LeMahieu and Cessa to be ready to play in a regular season game. The Yankees have 1 inter-squad game and 3 expedition games left. I really don't know. You would have to make the evaluations where they are at. What exactly have they been doing? What have they been able to do? And have a plan for what they would need from a build-up standpoint. Boone said until we see them and see how they are responding and how they are feeling, and we make those evaluations. I don't want to speculate. It's true, because the virus is a vicious thing. Your body's got to recover from that. It's not just like, oh, got the virus, I tested negative twice, oh, gonna be good, go back out there. That's what I love about Boone and the Yankees. He eases players back into it. I've been stressing this a lot on this podcast. These Mets fans are like, oh, Cespedes looks great. If the Mets just absolutely just throw out Cespedes out there first 10 games, just left field, all that good stuff, and you got a problem. He might get injured again. You got to ease him back into it. DH maybe. Take a couple days off. You got to ease him back into it. You can't just it's almost like, okay, this player is just coming back from this. Just coming back. Let's throw him 8 innings. Let's throw him 130 pitches. Why don't we do that? It's a good idea, right? Come back from Tommy John, right? Jordan Montgomery's first start, I know he's had a whole year of rehab and all that stuff. He might not surpass 100 pitches until maybe until his couple starts in. Because they got to ease him back into it. It's his first game. This is going to be the first time he's really throwing all out. LeMahieu remained in Tampa to work out when spring training was shut down March 12th and doesn't have a complicated swing, so getting ready shouldn't be a problem. As for what the 32-year-old means to the Yankees lineup, Voice gushed about LeMahieu. He's a table setter and one of the best players in the game. He had a great year last year. Guys are super excited to have him back, and it was good seeing him around the other day. Voight said of LeMahieu, who batted .327 with career highs in home runs, 26, and RBIs, 102, and posted an .893 OPS in 2019. I am glad he is back just in the nick of time, and I know he is going to be ready. He is a guy who has played the game and always making sure he is prepared. I am excited to have him back. The machine is finally back. That is their nickname for him. Voigt's first year playing with LeMahieu left an impression on the first baseman. He is the only guy I believe in baseball who doesn't get shifted up in the zone, down in the zone, breaking balls, changeups, and any type of pitch I feel like he can hit, and it makes pitchers overthink, and they end up making mistakes, and he makes you pay. Said Voigt, who added he didn't see LeMahieu on Thursday. It can be a base hit on the ground or a home run. He is very versatile when it comes to where he hits, and he is fun to watch. Mike Tauchman didn't see LeMahieu either, but was anxious to greet the leadoff hitter. We have just 3 more paragraphs to read. Can't wait to see him. Tauchman said of the reserved LeMahieu, whom teammates respected for his professionalism and personality. From a production standpoint, everyone saw what he did last year offensively, so just have to present at the top of the lineup, kind of kickstart the whole thing. And you could tell players like him. He's a humble guy. He's a good player to work with, a good veteran, knows what he's doing, a good hitter, a good all-around player. That's what I like about players. Yankees have a lot of those players, I feel like. LeMahieu's bat overshadows his defensive ability, which has earned him a 3 Gold Gloves and helped him make 3 All-Star teams. From a defensive standpoint, just solidify the whole thing because he was shown Gold Glove ability at 3 positions. Tauchman said, whatever the case, to get him back right before we go is huge. It is true. It is very big to see him back. I know I've said this multiple times. This is MLB's chance. You got a week, people. MLB has got 1 week to prove themselves. It might not seem like a lot of time, but count the number of games in 1 week. That's a lot of games. That's a lot of hours of TV. So, the MLB is in full swing. The MLB is about to be back in full swing. And I really think so. I know a lot of people have been a little iffy about this, if they're even going to play a season. I know. I've been a little iffy about it. I've always said this whole time since they made that deal that they're going to play a season. I know a lot of people have been more iffy about it than others. I know a lot of people have been. But it doesn't look like there's no backing down now. They've got their TV schedules. They've got all that stuff. So, definitely exciting stuff. And sports are coming back, people. And I know the NFL. I know at times I'm kind of like, oh, what the NFL? The NFL. Yeah, but the sports are coming back, and that's what's great. Sports are coming back. That is really what's great. So, obviously, with this whole MLB thing, I think there is going to be cases. There will be cases. It is guaranteed. It is guaranteed there's going to be cases. There is no way there's not going to be at least one positive case. I mean, you've seen, they tried to do a bubble, people. They tried to do a bubble, and players have gotten the virus. And that's the weird part, is like, how do the players get the virus if you're not leaving anywhere? It's the problem. It's just so hard. This virus just randomly spreads. You might think you're doing something right. You might think you're being all protective, and then, all of a sudden, like, it's just so weird. Because the bubble you would think would be perfect. Like, oh, these players are all with each other. There's no way the virus can get in. There's no way right? It also could be, when you're walking outside, there could be particles in the air, and you could breathe them in, and that's how you get it, right? It's just so, like, it's not the most difficult thing to get. I'll tell you that for sure. So anyway, that is what I've got for the podcast today. As you all know, this is my final podcast of the week. I take off on the weekends. I will keep you posted if we will be doing a Sunday Around the Diamond podcast. I will either create a post where you can post things on YouTube, and you could post it and say, it's like something where you write, you could post it and say, okay, I'm doing a podcast Around the Diamond podcast, there it is. Or you could do this, or say this, whatever. So just keep your heads out for that. If you're subscribed and if you have notifications on, YouTube should send notifications. Just know the pod, if I do one on Sunday or whatever, it probably should be up around the normal time I post them. I don't know, because also my schedule has to fit it. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to really do it this week. I might start it next week. It might just be best that way, because I actually have a very busy weekend. I have a lot of baseball stuff going on, so I don't know if I can fit it in. Next week might be the best thing ideal-wise, and also that's when the season will actually be kicked off, is by Sunday. So keep your eyes open for that, but I do usually take off the weekends for obviously these podcasts. So anyway, that's what I got for the podcast today. Everybody enjoy your weekend, and I will see you all back here on Monday. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.